In this video, we will analyze the match between Liverpool and Manchester City. The home side, Liverpool, had to suffer a dramatic defeat at Anfield against their visitors, Man City. The Reds were under heavy pressure in the first half. However, after the break, Arne Slot's men managed to find weaknesses in Manchester City's play. From a statistical perspective, possession and overall control were fairly balanced. The number of shots was also equal, but City recorded a higher expected goals, or XG. A beautiful free kick goal from Dominik Szoboszlai almost secured all 3 points for Liverpool at Anfield. Unfortunately, that advantage was wiped out after Pep Guardiola's side completed a dramatic comeback in the final minutes. Although the match appeared chaotic with many transition moments, Arne Slot and Pep Guardiola were actually engaged in an intriguing tactical battle. So, curious to see how the game unfolded from a tactical point of view? Let's break it down together. Liverpool fielded the same lineup and formation they used in their 4-1 victory over Newcastle. In this match, Slot deployed a 4-2-3-1 formation. Szoboszlai was once again positioned at right back, while in midfield, Gravenberch, McAllister, and Jones operated behind the front line, flanked by Salah and Gakpo. Pep Guardiola, meanwhile, selected a particularly interesting lineup. After an impressive performance in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, Pep started Omar Marmoush. On paper, the Egyptian forward partnered Erling Haaland in a 4-1-3-2 formation used by City. Manchester City built their attacks using an initial 1-4-2 shape. The fullbacks did not push too high, as Liverpool were very committed to executing a high press whenever specific pressing triggers appeared. Salah and Nunez closed the passing lanes from the center-backs to the fullbacks, while Liverpool's midfielders man-marked City's central players. One of City's key methods to manipulate Liverpool's marking was the dynamic movement of their midfielders. In the first tactic, one midfielder would drop alongside the two center-backs. At times, Bernardo Silva and Akanji dropped deep to lure Liverpool's press higher. This role constantly rotated, sometimes rotary. The purpose of this rotation was to disrupt Liverpool's man-oriented pressing structure. The second tactic involved City using a box midfield, with 4 midfielders forming a square. The primary objective of this box midfield was to isolate Liverpool's center-backs. As the box midfield dropped deep, it attracted Liverpool's markers, while City's wide players pushed higher. Shortly after, City attempted long passes to bypass the press, creating 1-versus-1 situations for their forwards against Konate and Van Dijk. This deep box midfield was deliberately used to draw Liverpool's press higher and set up Haaland and Marmoush in 1-versus-1 situations, particularly in the second phase of attacks. Additionally, having 4 midfielders centrally allowed City to create a numerical overload in the middle of the pitch. To counter this, Slot instructed one of Liverpool's wide players to tuck inside. In several moments, we could see Curtis Jones moving into central midfield areas, with Liverpool's midfielders and wide players compacting the space around City's box midfield. Despite pressing high, Liverpool frequently dropped into a deeper defensive block. This was largely due to the presence of Omar Marmoush, a player capable of making dangerous runs behind the defensive line. On multiple occasions, City attempted direct passes into the space behind Liverpool's defense, targeting Marmoush. This put Liverpool in a difficult dilemma. Dropping too deep created large gaps between the defensive and midfield lines, spaces City tried to exploit to generate chances. Unfortunately for City, Haaland was unable to capitalize on these situations. Marmoush also attempted to unsettle Liverpool's defense by dropping between the lines and using those spaces to create opportunities. Liverpool's relatively passive pressing allowed City to dominate much of the first half. However, poor finishing meant the score remained goalless after the opening 45 minutes. Arne Slot appeared aware that his team's pressing intensity in the first half was somewhat hesitant. As a result, in the second half, the Dutch manager instructed his players to press more aggressively. This adjustment paid off, as Liverpool began to generate several dangerous transition moments after the restart. To deal with City's four-man midfield, Liverpool frequently played direct balls into the wide areas or switched play quickly. This approach caused problems for City, who were still struggling to manage their negative transitions. This combination of tactics nearly gave Liverpool the lead. Following a failed City attack, Alisson immediately played the ball forward, creating a 3-versus-3 situation that Gakpo won. The move continued to Salah, with Nunez also pushing forward to support. Nunez then switched the ball left with a trivela pass, allowing Salah to deliver an accurate cross. Nunez attacked the box, but his header went wide. Liverpool's aggressive pressing ultimately became the source of Szoboszlai's goal. After the ball was cleared, Elliott and Gravenberch immediately pressed Cherki as he received possession. Bernardo Silva tried to help, but ended up fouling Gravenberch. Szoboszlai stepped up and in spectacular fashion scored a stunning free kick.
His powerful strike from around 27 meters out swerved slightly before crashing into the left corner of Manchester City's goal. Ederson stood still, watching the ball fly past him at pace. Liverpool led 1-0, taking the lead in a match that had been extremely tight. Arne Slot decided to play it safe. After the goal, Liverpool became more passive, slowing the tempo and switching to a 5-man defensive line. Unfortunately, this approach gave City more freedom to search for an equalizer. Liverpool's luck finally ran out in the 84th minute when Bernardo Silva scored the goal City had been chasing. Cherki's cross deflected off Matip, but Haaland reacted quickly, laying the ball off to Bernardo. Szoboszlai was late to step up and set the offside trap. Bernardo, clearly onside, struck the ball with his left foot and sent it past Alisson. Liverpool tried to respond by going all out in attack once again. However, instead of finding another goal, disaster struck. A lack of awareness from 3 Liverpool players on the left flank allowed Nunez to exploit the half space and drive into the area. Alisson rushed out to intervene, but his challenge clipped Nunez and brought the Brazilian down inside the penalty box. Haaland stepped up as the penalty taker and made no mistake. His powerful finish into the right side of the goal was too much for Alisson, giving City a 2-1 lead. More drama followed in the closing minutes. Alisson pushed forward to help create a late equalizer, but he lost an aerial duel from the Szoboszlai delivery. The ball was cleared by Guehi and then played to Bernardo, who found Cherki. Seeing the goal unguarded, the former Lyon player immediately fired a shot toward the net. Haaland and Szoboszlai sprinted after the ball, which eventually crossed the line. The goal was eventually disallowed, but Liverpool were the ones who suffered, as the incident resulted in a red card for Szoboszlai. Already dealing with a defensive crisis, Liverpool now faced the reality of being without Szoboszlai in their next match due to suspension. The victory at Anfield helped City improve their league position, marking their second Premier League win of 2026. The result also allowed Pep Guardiola's side to close the gap on Arsenal at the top of the table. Next, Manchester City will face Fulham at the Etihad Stadium in match week 26. Meanwhile, Arne Slot's side, who have managed just one Premier League win throughout 2026, now find it increasingly difficult to chase a Champions League spot. With 39 points, Liverpool sit 4 points behind Chelsea in the Europa League zone and 6 points behind Manchester United in the Champions League places.